Coming into this free agency, I thought one of the underrated needs on the Cleveland Browns defense was the edge position. The Cleveland Browns have gone out and signed a reliable veteran pass rusher in Adrian Clayborn, formerly of the Atlanta Falcons, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, New England Patriots. And he's going to come in here in Cleveland and just provide a little bit of depth, a little bit of pass rushing productivity from the edge position and back up Myles Garrett, back up Olivier Vernon if they still decide to keep him. There was kind of this rumor floating around that Olivier Vernon might be released, might be let go, they might trade him, whatever. Well, Adrian Clayborn right now, I feel like last year playing a lot of snaps for the Atlanta Falcons, the year before winning the Super Bowl with the New England Patriots, more in kind of like a rotation role, kind of off the bench, playing more as a strict pass rusher. But last year for Atlanta, played that similar type of role, but kind of ramped up his snaps a little bit because they didn't have the depth that New England had at that position. Nonetheless, though, Adrian Clayborn, I think this is a good contract, 2 years, $5.75 million. This is for a guy that can come in and put up some pressures, some sacks, and get after the quarterback for sure. And it also allows you a little bit more flexibility with what you do with your defensive line, whether you move Myles Garrett around the line, whether you put Clayborn on the outside, where he's typically played as an edge rusher as opposed to an interior rusher, but he's also played some as an interior rusher more earlier in his career. You could move around Olivier Vernon, Sheldon Richardson, and I think what this move really does is it allows a little bit more depth and actual talent on this defensive line. I feel like last year and coming into this offseason, Cleveland didn't really have the bodies at this position, and we specifically saw that when Myles Garrett was gone with the whole suspension deal, and Olivier Vernon hasn't really lived up to his billing in terms of a pass rusher off the edge. So you bring in an Adrian Clayborn who's kind of been proven around the NFL, and he's had a lot of success in certain areas. He's not going to be like one of the best pass rushers in the league or anything like that, but you didn't sign him to do so, and his contract doesn't ask him to do that. When looking at his career, he had really a standout season in 2017 where he had 9.5 sacks. Last season, he had 4 sacks, 7 quarterback hits, but he's been somewhere around, 15 to 17, 13 quarterback hits throughout the entirety of his career. He's been more of a guy that can get pressure as opposed to actual sack numbers. He did have that one ridiculous game versus the Dallas Cowboys one year where he had like 6 sacks or something crazy like that. I wouldn't expect any sort of domination like that, but Clayborn is certainly a guy that can get in the face of quarterbacks. He's done it for a long time, and I think he's going to be productive for this defense and kind of give the ability to Myles Garrett, Olivier Vernon to have a rest or just add another edge presence to this defense, which I felt the Cleveland Browns needed. I really feel like in the NFL right now, you need at least 3 guys off the edge that are good players that can get after the quarterback. Unless you have an absolutely stellar secondary, you need to have these type of pass rushers who can get after a quarterback. And again, is Clayborn an elite player at this position? No, but is he better than what you had before? For sure. And is he going to provide depth, leadership, experience, and another player who can play in certain situations? Yes, 100%. This is definitely going to just add layers to this defensive line. And as we've seen with successful defenses over the years, successful pass rushes lead to wins, lead to Super Bowls, and lead to success in the NFL. So this is just another name to add to this depth chart of the Cleveland Browns. And all of a sudden, you're looking at a defensive line that I really feel like is going to be much better going into next year. Whether they keep Vernon or not is still a question to me. I think they probably will. But they have Vernon, Richardson, Ogunjobi. They have Garrett. You signed Billings at D tackle, and now Adrian Clayborn. Those are 6 good, solid pieces. Chad Thomas is kind of underrated. You have a couple other younger players coming into their own this season, and maybe you even draft a guy on the D-line. So all of a sudden, you're looking at the Browns having not just a good starting unit, which I felt like was a little bit overrated going into last season, getting a little bit too much hype because they had a really stellar top 4 guys, but it's about those guys behind the 4 guys. And that's where Adrian Clayborn is going to provide that extra bit of depth that is so crucial in the NFL. Because you never know when Myles Garrett's going to go down with injury. You never know when he's going to get a suspension. You never know when one of these guys is going to be tired. You don't just play 4 guys on the D-line all day. You need a line change of guys to come in there and play some snaps. And that's what Clayborn is going to give this defense. He ranked pretty highly last year from PFF, ranking 37th. He didn't play like a ton of snaps. He's more of a situational player. Looking at his snap counts, he played 42%, which is actually higher than what he played in New England, which was nearly a career low at 31%. I remember early in his Patriot days at one season there where he won the Super Bowl, he played a lot early on, and then he kind of dwindled. The snaps dwindled as the season wore on because he just didn't really fit into the defense so well. But basically, he's played around 50 snaps since 2015. That's about what you're going to get from him. And I would expect even somewhere between 40% snaps this season. Being that he's not going to be a starter and more of a depth player and more of a situational pass rusher, I think Clayborn is perfect for that type of role. And that's why I was looking for a team just like the Browns who could use that 3rd or 4th pass rusher off the edge to sign Clayborn. And he is absolutely perfect for this role. And I think he suits this defense very, very well. He's one of these guys that's going to go uphill. He's going to just pin his ears back and get after the quarterback. He's more of a power rusher than a finesse rusher. He's pretty solid versus the run. He's a little reckless in terms of he's not really necessarily going to be that guy that you want out there containing a mobile quarterback. But when you ask him to go uphill and just get after the quarterback, he is very good at that. And in certain matchups, he certainly has shown that he can dominate in a game. So Adrian Clayborn signs a 2-year deal with the Cleveland Browns. This is a move that immediately when I saw it made a ton of sense. Perfect fit for the need, perfect scheme fit, and a player that I think is in a perfect situation at his age, 31 going on 32, in the right role for him. And the Browns have found a perfect, I can't say it enough, perfect number 3 edge rusher for their defense.